Hi Capricorn, welcome to your November 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for all the information on that. Alright, so we have a Celtic cross spread in front of us as always. You got some extra cards that came up there. Then we also have two Oracle cards we'll take a look at after we get through the main spread, and a mudra card. So quite a bit to get to. Let's get started with the main situation. So in that position we have the Four of Swords. So this is actually a card that points to the last 10 degrees of Libra, and at the time I'm recording this, that's actually where the sun is. I'm recording this more or less in the middle of October. So this could just be saying that maybe some of you might have gotten sick around that time, possibly even could have just actually taken a break from work for some of you as well, since Libra is actually the 10th house of career and social status. So that could be the way it's playing out for some of you as well. It seems a little unlikely in a way, as far as you do have Mars moving through that sign right now. So if anything, you'd feel like that would activate that area of your life and make you more busy. But at the same time, maybe it's the two energies work together in that regard. So maybe having Mars in that sign for you really had you pushing it, and maybe you might have went a little bit too far. So now this might be recovering from a bit of burnout, or maybe even just taking a vacation because you realized, all right, I have been taking it, working a bit too hard. I need some time off. Basically, that could be the perspective that you're taking. And for others of you, this can just also be pointing to possibly recovering from a breakup for some of you as well, because this is the card that comes after the Three of Swords after all. So some of you might have actually been, recently gotten out of a relationship, and maybe you're still recovering from that. And the reason I say that could be the case is because in the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Four of Cups and the Magician. So the Four of Cups energy is actually a Cancer energy, which is your opposite sign, which points to relationships. So that's why I'm saying, you guys could just still be recovering from a recent breakup. And, maybe you're getting offers from people with the Four of Cups energy here, but you're just not accepting them at this time. And like I said, it makes sense if you are healing, you're trying to do the proper thing to heal. For others of you, can just be saying that, you're really, the challenge for you is to manifest the right kind of relationship, right? Meaning that maybe you're getting tons of options, that's great, but you feel like you haven't found the right one, right? So maybe that's what you're really reflecting on, maybe giving that some time to see, okay, well, why am I having an issue getting the right type of relationship that I'm looking for? And let's see, in the foundation position, we have the Devil card, which is actually the major arcana card for your sign. So that's the good thing there, as far as having the Magician showing up in the challenge position and you guys showing up in the foundation. To me, that is a good indicator that you guys can actually manifest what you're looking for. Because to have your own card show up in the foundation, one other sign had that this month too, where their major arcana popped up in the foundation. But what it shows is that you can take a lot of control over the events that play out this month. I'm trying to think if any significant planetary stuff is happening in your sign, but not really this month. I mean, obviously you guys have Pluto in your sign, Saturn in your sign, so those are pretty heavy-duty transits, South Node. But I mean, as far as anything being activated in particular this month, then not really. You did have, we had the Aries full moon recently at the time I'm recording this, so it can be pointing to that as well, because Pluto in your sign was actually squaring the moon in Aries and the sun in Libra. So maybe that could have been a pretty tough full moon for you guys as well. So that could also point to why maybe you're in that energy right now of maybe recovering a bit from something. So that could have been an intense full moon that you guys went through there. And you're actually going to have Jupiter is moving through Sagittarius right now, and early next month it's going to come in your sign, so that could actually help things out as well. But, this could also just be pointing to what I was saying before, which was to say that, maybe you guys are being really obsessive about something and maybe you just ended up pushing yourselves a bit too far, ending up with that Four of Swords energy where you needed to, take some time out and recover. In the past energy, we have the Two of Pentacles. So this can just be, of course, weighing up two options in the past, and maybe you're having difficulty deciding between the two. For some of you, this could have even been trying to balance, your career and having an actual relationship, and maybe that's where the difficulty was stemming from. Maybe you were having a lot of success career-wise and having a lot of traction there, but maybe the downside of that was, it was taking away from the time and energy you'd have for a romantic relationship. And maybe at one point you were actually fine with that, right? With the devil energy in the past, but some of the cards I'm seeing here lead me to believe that you might be coming out of that energy where you're like, okay, this is great and all, having a success on the career front, but, maybe I want to integrate a romantic relationship into my life as well. So that could be the balance that you guys are trying to figure out in the past. And like I said, it definitely could be that you did go through a heartbreak, and who knows, it might have even been tied into that too, where maybe the person felt that you were working too much, and then maybe that could have been where the disconnect was. So plenty of ways it could play out in the general reading, but those are just some of the things that are coming to me. In the present position, we have the Fool energy and the Seven of Cups. So again, this makes me think of the Four of Cups energy again, which is to say that you might have a lot of options, but you might not. For one, maybe you don't think any of them are the right option for you, or maybe you're just having a little bit of difficulty trusting that you're seeing those connections clearly. Like, okay, can I really trust this person? And maybe that's even what the Two of Pentacles could point to for some of you as well. Maybe the Three of Swords situation that led to you being in this healing phase now might have been the person you were with could have possibly been involved with, involving you in a third party situation in some way, shape, or form. So maybe that's just making it a little bit harder for you to trust people now. But what I always do say with this card especially is that, yes, we can see all of these cups clearly and what's in them. But if we look at this person, they're in the dark. So if you think of it that way, it could just be saying they might have no idea what's in those cups. We can't say for sure. And then with the Fool, that could be pointing to, why you are hesitant to take a leap of faith and start something new. Because you're not sure that you could trust what you're seeing, what you're feeling right now. And I will say, especially because this is a card that represents the last 10 degrees of Scorpio, can just be pointing to that timeline, of course, which could be saying mid-November you might be feeling this way. But also, what it makes me think of is the fact that Mercury will be going retrograde starting in these degrees. So that could just be pointing to that, saying that, you know what, if you are feeling some kind of hesitation, at least for the beginning of November, might be a good idea to trust that, just because with the Mercury retrograde energy, it might, really throw you for a bit of a loop, or you might not see things as clearly as you'd hoped. All right, in the near future position, we have the Lovers. So this makes me think of what I was saying with the Magician card being under the Four of Cups, which is to say that, you do have that ability to manifest things this month. So if that's what you are looking for, which is to, start a serious relationship, it looks like you do have that ability. But given that this is near future, I would say, if possible, try to delay that to towards the very end of November, just because, like I was saying, we will have the Mercury retrograde energy. And, once we get past all that and closer to Thanksgiving, for those of you who live in the States, you'll definitely see some more supportive energy in the air. And what else stands out to me too, though, is as far as the Four of Swords with the healing, right? So if we separate this from the fact that this is the major arcana for your sign, and then this is a Gemini card, by the way, I don't remember if I mentioned that yet. You could also look at the similarities between the two cards, right? And say that maybe for those of you who were going through a bit of a dark time, right, and going through that healing process, the good thing is in the near future, it looks like you will be coming out of that in a positive way. because obviously we can see the contrast between the two, right? So that's definitely a positive thing there. And maybe that's even saying if there's still within a connection, maybe you're already in a relationship and you might just be going through a rough patch as well. That could be saying that maybe there will be some healing in the connection there. All right. In the position of your energy in the situation, we have the moon. So to me, this is just pointing to the fact that, like I said, I feel like for whatever reason you're not trusting that you're seeing things clearly. And like I said, it might be best to trust that at least for the first few weeks of November. But what I do tend to say with the moon to people is that, it doesn't always represent deception. It's just think of it more like when you're in an unfamiliar environment, right? And maybe the lights go out. So now all of a sudden you can't see everything. So if you have to navigate your way around the room, you might be very cautious doing so, right? To make sure you don't bump into anything, trip over anything. It's not that anything was moved around when the lights went out, but because you're not as familiar with it, while you were able to fully trust what you were seeing with the lights on and move around the room with the lights off, you might think to yourself, all right, well, I don't want to knock anything over, right? So you might just move through a little bit slower and feel your way through the situation. That's kind of how I view the moon energy. So that could just be saying to you to trust your intuition a lot more and just feel things out. Maybe move a little bit more cautiously than normal, but you don't have to completely stop moving. All right, in the position of the environment energy in the situation, we have the Knight of Swords. So this is another Gemini energy, so some of you could definitely be dealing with a Gemini. For others of you, this can just be something around workplace, since that's 6th house, maybe even your health too. This could be good signs as far as your health being restored, because if you are sick, both of these 6th house energies popping up here for you, and pretty positive, especially the lovers, that could be saying that, it's something that you will be able to push past. But this could also point to, let's say you are dealing with a Gemini, it could just be saying that maybe they're the ones that are very persistent. Maybe you're not at that point yet where you're ready for a relationship, but maybe they're being a bit persistent with you. And, maybe that's where you're like, all right, I don't know if I can trust them, right? So that could be the interplay between the energies there. But what I do say too, I tend to see this card pop up the most when we are in those Mercury retrograde periods. And to me, I think it makes sense too, as far as this being the card of Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And if we look at the way the horse is pointing, right, they're moving towards the past position in the spread. So that makes me think of, the way Mercury does go retrograde and moves backward through the zodiac. So it can just be saying that the reason for all of this fog you may be in, for those of you where that message does resonate, can just be a result of Mercury retrograde. And the positive side to that is that it will just be a short-term thing. A few weeks, you get through it. And then I almost forgot to mention at the bottom of the deck too, we have the 9 of Swords. So definitely seems like you might have some anxiety, might be losing some sleep around something, just really trapped in your head a bit. So with what we were talking about here, like I said, just keep in mind the positive thing is that it is temporary. It looks like there's definitely some good things trying to come into the picture for you guys, but don't pressure yourself if you just don't feel like the timing's right, because it looks like these are things that'll be here to stay anyway. It's not like you missed this opportunity tomorrow, it's never coming around again. So keep that in mind. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Page of Swords. So to me, well, this could play out two ways. For one, you can be hoping for communication with someone, but for more of you, I feel like this might be, again, a fear, like fearing that you might not be able to trust what someone's telling you, or maybe even worrying that you won't get the words out right either. Like I said, a lot of people are going to be feeling that with the retrograde going on in November. So, and then maybe for some of you, this could represent maybe thinking about communicating to someone via social media, because I always point out to people that those trees, if I could get it to focus, there we go, remind me of the Facebook F as far as the shape that they make. So It could be one of those things where maybe you're looking to reach out to someone via social media, but you're a little hesitant to do so. Maybe that's what the Nine of Swords is about. You're stressing out over it, rather. All right, and then in the outcome position, we have the Sun, Temperance, and the Page of Wands. So these are interesting energies to come out together. A lot of fiery energy for one, but the Sun card, for me, I would say this could represent definitely coming out of that fog. Like I was saying, if we look at the Devil energy in the Foundation and then moving to the Lovers, right, we could see the brightness there. So for those of you who, if you are healing from something, whether physically or emotionally, definitely a good indicator there that we see the Moon, but then with the outcome, we see the Sun, right? And then we have the Temperance card. Now this is a major arcana card for Sagittarius. So it could be as simple as it's just pointing out that when the Sun moves into Sagittarius, you'll be feeling up and ready to go, because the Page of Wands is definitely an up and, get up and go type of energy, ready to take action. So for those of you who are wondering, if you are in some kind of a slump right now and you're wondering when it might come to an end for you, definitely looks like a positive sign there as far as saying when we get to Sagittarius season, which, like I said, will be around the end of the month. And I do see that there's going to be some pretty good transits going through this Sagittarius season too. Maybe that's saying that that's going to help you, get your balance back, get back on track, and then ready to get out there to take some action. All right, so trying to think if anything else comes to mind with these cards. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, it kind of spoke to me in a bit of a straightforward way in that regard. But, I mean, for some of you, this can just be saying you're dealing with a fire sign as well. But I think the first breakdown was probably most likely. All right, moving on to the Oracle cards. The first one we have is Breathed. There's the artwork, and the number is 29. So yeah, that already makes me think of the Four of Swords, which, like I said, is taking some time, right? And then the Nine of Swords energy, which we said can be about anxiety, just, really worrying about things. Could just be encouraging you to take some time off if you need it. All right, it says patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, meditation, trust. The Oracle's message: patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness, and miracles will appear. So it's interesting there as far as, like I said, the release the darkness part. That again makes me think of the Devil and the Lover's energy, so it looks like you will. And then also the Moon, and then ending with the Sun. Nine of Swords we see at the bottom of the deck there as well. So, like I said, that's definitely encouraging news for those of you if you are going through some kind of a slump. And also, Jupiter will be moving into your sign, I think around the second or third of December, very early in December, put it that way. We're definitely within the first week of December, so that should be a beneficial transit for you guys as well. Maybe just having Jupiter in your 12th, it's really made your subconscious a little bit foggy, maybe even getting too much going on in there, and to making you guys a bit uneasy. All right, the relationship message says, don't be in too much of a hurry right now. The heart needs time to open. Take a breath and let nature take its course. Release constriction and anxiety, for there is no need for tension. Savor the moment, and the waiting won't prove difficult. Your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. Patience pays off in deep and meaningful ways. So that's interesting there. That almost makes me think that would be a good message for this Knight of Swords energy. So if it's someone else, hopefully your cross watcher's watching it. But if this is pointing to your energy as well, saying that, maybe around mid-month, let's say you are feeling better, maybe you have someone you're interested in, and maybe you might get a little overly aggressive with them. So it's trying to say, just try to temper that, take your time. And like I said, that'd be for the best anyway. The retrograde energy start to improve towards the end of November. It'll still be going on for a little bit in early December, but you should see improvement definitely by the end of the month. So the longer you can wait in a month, the better, I would say. All right, the prosperity message says you have worked long and hard, your dreams are coming to fruition, and you want to hurry things along. You are the slow one moving languidly, yet still progressing right now, in a rhythm dictated by your authentic nature, the essence of your dream, and the will of the universe. Slow and steady wins the race. You will indeed win if you relax, stay the course, trust your intuition, and breathe. This actually brings to mind the fact that I remember now Taurus actually had that card as well, and they definitely had some hectic energy. So if you guys are dealing with a Taurus, or if you have Taurus placements, definitely check out that reading as well. All right, and moving on to the next oracle card. This is from the Spirit Animal Oracle. You guys got Owl Spirit. It says you see clearly now. There's the artwork, and the number is 43. Now, I would say, at least judging from the main spread, I would say now might be pointing more to the end of the month. As far as, like I said, I don't necessarily feel like you're seeing clearly right now, but at least towards the end of the month, we do see some energy that supports that you probably will. So we'll see what the message says, though. Okay, it says, Owl Spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest night, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged and you are receiving messages from all directions. Owl Spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all your senses. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationship, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly now. So, definitely a pretty positive message there. And like I said, if you definitely feel like, no, that doesn't resonate, I understand. As far as, like I said, at least in the present, it looks like you might not be there quite yet. But it does look like as the month progresses, you'll definitely move in that direction. So hopefully that resonates. All right, the last thing we have is a mudra card for you guys. So this is the mudra you guys got this month. That's the Apana mudra. And the keyword for it is release. All right, so I'll turn the card over so you guys can see what else it has to say. All right, and if you guys want, you could just take a screenshot or pause it to read that, because I do have to move it up so you could see the rest of what it has to say, since not everything's fitting in the frame here. Okay, it says, benefits general detoxifying effect on the body, improves elimination, reduces constipation, benefits the urinary bladder and uterus, regulates menstruation, clarifies the skin. So at the very least, it sounds like something that might be a bit helpful to those of you. Maybe you are sick coming into the month. So maybe you could get some benefit from that. But yeah, if you are interested in that, I'll put the name of the mudra in the description of the video as well, as always. And we'll wrap up there, guys. I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.